imagined it. She had truly seen Emily. But if Emily was alive, why hadn't she run into her mother's arms? And who was the man keeping her hidden? Laura stumbled back from the alley, her mind a storm of disbelief. She replayed the moment again and again. Emily's face, her eyes, the scar that only her daughter could have. There was no denying it. Emily was alive. But the blankness in her expression, the way she stood beside the hooded man, as though he controlled her every move, chilled Laura to her core. That was not the carefree little girl who once laughed on the cruise deck. That was someone else. Someone reshaped by 7 years of silence and shadows. Her chest tightened as she realized Emily hadn't run to her, hadn't spoken, hadn't even cried out. Instead, she had obeyed the stranger without hesitation. Laura's worst fear took root. Her daughter had been raised under someone else's control, molded into obedience, stripped of her memories. Or worse, her will. What kind of life had Emily lived in those missing years? What had been done to her? The questions gnawed at Laura, each one heavier than the last. And then came the darker thought, the one Laura had tried to push away, but could no longer ignore. What if Michael had been a part of it? His strange behavior before the disappearance, the cryptic journal entries, the way he had led Emily to the upper deck on that stormy night. Had he known this would happen? Had he orchestrated it? Or had he tried to warn her, only to be taken himself? The uncertainty left Laura torn between grief and fury. The man's presence haunted her most of all. His grip on Emily hadn't been protective, it had been possessive. The way he leaned down and whispered into her ear, the way Emily's expression shifted into lifeless compliance, told Laura that this was no chance encounter. Whoever he was, he had taken everything from her. Her family, her peace, her daughter's innocence. And now he was walking the streets with Emily as if she belonged to him. Laura stood frozen in that realization, the rain soaking through her coat, the city's neon lights blurring in her tear-filled eyes. Emily was alive, but she was not free. And the man who held her was not finished with whatever nightmare he had begun 7 years ago. For Laura, the horror was no longer in their disappearance. It was in the knowledge that her daughter was still trapped in a world Laura could not yet see, a world darker and more dangerous than she could ever have imagined. The following morning, Laura returned to the alley. She hadn't slept a second. Her mind replayed every detail of what she had seen, every flicker of expression on Emily's face, every step of the hooded man as he dragged her deeper into the shadows. The alley was empty now, washed clean by the rain. But Laura felt her daughter's presence, still lingering in the damp air. She combed through every inch of the cracked pavement and overflowing trash bins, desperate for even the smallest trace that last night had been real, not some fever dream conjured by grief. And then she saw it. Half buried beneath a crumpled soda can was a thin, rectangular piece of plastic. Laura bent down, her hands trembling as she picked it up. Her breath hitched when she realized